Many of us believe that toughness and resilience mean being like a stone, rigid, unmoving, unbreakable. This story puts an end to that illusion forever and offers a true meaning of resilience, one that can lead to your growth and salvation. Stay with me until the end.
Redefining Story.
Once upon a time, in a mountainous land famous for its violent winds, there were two valleys facing each other, each living under completely different conditions. One valley rested in peace and greenery, protected by tall surrounding mountains that shielded it from the harsh winds of the land. It was home to many lush, beautiful trees that grew comfortably and peacefully. The other valley, however, was completely exposed. No mountains protected it. Its body was constantly lashed by the merciless winds of the land, so fierce that no tree or living creature was spared from their torment, never knowing a moment of rest. A young oak sapling was born near an old tree in this windy valley. His name was Whip. Whip was deeply unhappy with his circumstances. He complained constantly. Look at the peaceful valley. Look how comfortable their trees are. No bending, no wounds, no pressure, no suffering at all. Through tears, Whip asked the old tree, "Wise Soar, tell me, why is our fate so cruel? Why must we suffer here while they live in paradise right next to us? I'm breaking." Soar the Wise, who was over 300 years old, stood tall with a trunk full of scars. Having survived decades of brutal storms, he was seasoned and wise. He smiled knowingly and said with sincere kindness, "My dear Whip, young and unripe child of nature, what you call suffering is training. The trees in that valley are getting fat, but we are getting strong. Be patient, wait for the day of the test." But Whip, bent under the pressure of the wind, was too overwhelmed to continue the conversation. He didn't understand Soar's words and returned to resisting the wind. Years passed. Whip grew taller, deeper rooted, stronger. He became a powerful, mature tree. Yet he still hated the wind. Just as in his sapling days, he looked with envy toward the peaceful valley, complaining and grumbling about his fate. Until the day finally arrived. The sky turned dark and heavy. A cold wind blew, far stronger than ever before. Whip was shocked. He had never witnessed such a storm. His complaints reached their peak. Angry and bitter, he thought, "Look at this place. Not only did things not get better, now we're being whipped even harder, while the trees in the peaceful valley enjoy their perfect weather." Suddenly, a thunderous roar snapped him out of his thoughts. The wind intensified every second until it reached the peaceful valley as well, ripping through it with terrifying force, moving even massive stones. Within moments, the calm valley was consumed by chaos. The pampered trees, never tested by hardship, couldn't even survive ordinary winds, let alone a storm that appeared once every 100 years. Their shallow roots betrayed them. One by one, they were torn from the soil like matchsticks, hurled into the air, smashed and destroyed. Whip, bent nearly to the ground, felt his trunk might snap. In disbelief, he watched the peaceful valley collapse. He could not believe his eyes. That night was horrifying. The sound of breaking trees filled the land. Whip drove his roots deeper with all his strength and resisted until dawn. When the sun was high in the sky, Whip awoke. Memories of the storm flooded his mind. Panicked, he looked toward the peaceful valley. My God, what happened to them? That's no longer a valley, it's a graveyard of peace. Not a single tree had survived. He looked around his own valley. Every tree was still standing. Leaves were lost, branches wounded, but they remained firm and proud. Stunned, Whip asked Soar, "What happened? Why did we survive while they were destroyed?" Soar looked at him gently and said, "My child, while they lived in comfort, we were resisting the winds. That resistance forced us to push our roots deeper into the earth day after day. They never needed to do that, so their roots remained shallow. Your survival today is the result of every time you bent before the winds you once called enemies. Now for the next 100 years, you will dance with the wind as a friend. Congratulations on your new life." Whip looked at his roots gripping the stone beneath the soil. For the first time, he loved the wind. He finally understood. Resilience does not mean being unscarred. Resilience means having roots built because of hardship. Dear friends, discover the secret of roots. Do not complain about the storms in your life. They are the only reason your roots are now deeper than the surface. Perfect comfort kills roots. Resilience is not standing rigid when the storm comes. Resilience is bending without breaking and rising stronger than before. Maybe you are in the valley of wild winds right now and think you are unlucky. But remember, life is preparing you for a storm others won't survive. Trust your roots. If this story helps shift your perspective, support it with a like, a comment, and a subscription so it can reach and help more people. And never forget, trees that dance in the storm are more alive than trees that rot in calm. Until the next story, farewell.